Dumb, Cool,
Weird
Podcast. Welcome to the Dumb, Cool, Weird Podcast, and here we are, Christmas again, and we did Die Hard, and just before anybody says anything, Die Hard is a Christmas movie, so fuck off.
It is a Christmas movie. It has Christmas music. It talks about Christmas themes, about, friendship, brotherhood, miracles. I mean, when Hans and his team finally got into that vault, it was a Christmas miracle.
Yep.
Santa
was looking out, wasn't he?
Yeah, let's put it this way. Carl Winslow and John McClane are the best buddy cops ever.
Yep. It's truly remarkable. You got Starsky and Hutch. You have the guys from Lethal Weapon. You have...
Riggs and Murtaugh.
Yep. And then you got these two guys.
Yeah, no, these two guys are pretty solid. I don't want to hear another damn thing about the fact that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It is a Christmas movie. It ends with Christmas music.
Yep. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Hey, let's just say Hans Gruber's on the naughty list permanently.
Yep.
In hell.
So, what would you say? What about this movie do you like the most? I mean, let's kind of go into just small plot points. I mean, basically, what this movie is cop comes to see his family, his wife, out in L.A. He's a New York cop,
and then Eastern European terrorist group, former terrorist group turned extreme heist kind of guys, like bank robbers, just pros at heists, take over the Nakatomi Plaza and start staging a terrorist attack. It's all fun and games. They're professionals, but they have to rely on the terrorism to really make the win.
What's interesting to me is how they just don't give a damn. I mean, they literally just shoot people on the spot, even people who could potentially be useful. That's crazy to me.
Well, here's the thing, though, right? That's their plan. Cause enough chaos so that they bring out the FBI. FBI cuts off all the power, so then they can get all the security measures knocked right out.
Yep.
And then, steal about $680 million in bonds.
Yeah, genius plan.
Worked out really well if John McClane wasn't there, or if their blonde sociopath's brother wasn't killed, and then the blonde sociopath wouldn't be just hunting him down recklessly with a very efficient weapon.
Well, it was probably really cheap when they were shooting this movie to just be literally one location the whole time. Obviously, they had sets, inside on the soundstage, but still, it's pretty funny.
I feel like a lot of on-set injuries were a problem, though.
Yeah, you're saying that. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, with the fact that John McClane almost falls down an elevator shaft, just a lot of things. I mean, to really think about it, John McClane got the shit kicked out of him. That's what I like about my action heroes. I don't like my action heroes to just be purely invincible like an Arnold Schwarzenegger type. I like to know that, the bad guy still kicks the shit out of my hero, to know that my hero is really human.
That makes sense.
You were mentioning First Blood with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
How he's just getting hunted down. He's still a powerhouse, but he's getting the shit kicked out of him, essentially. No. He's got a bunch of dudes he's got to fight. John McClane's got a little less, but he's still really having to deal with a lot. I mean, he's got to think on his feet, his bare feet.
Yeah, bloody bare feet, losing
Stepping
a lot of blood.
Glass. That at no point did anyone ever think, if we just throw this hockey puck at him, maybe throw some glass on the floor, he'd be over.
Yeah,
they did it all in reverse. They tried breaking all the glass first and then throwing the hockey puck.
Yeah. It's one of those movies, I've never seen this movie before. My first time ever seeing it. It's one of those, that was my first time. So it's it definitely has all the elements of parody, from parodies I've seen before, especially South Park. Oh, we're running the show. Oh, not anymore, you're not. I'm running this thing,
Yeah, good old Crater Face, the best C-list actor since Chinese Mullet Man.
Yeah. Always plays something like that, doesn't he?
Yeah, because they had I can't actually remember the name of the Chinese Mullet Man, but he is in pretty much all Stallone's, Bruce Willis's, and Schwarzenegger's movies, so he's just kind of a staple of 80s and 90s and early 2000s action.
Yeah. It's a great movie, too, because we get to see, Alan Rickman versus Bruce Willis, which is a treat.
Yeah, Professor Snape, he really had to change his life after, he was a Well, first it turns out he was an Eastern European terrorist. Then he was a bank robber who pretended to be a terrorist. Then he became a Death Eater.
Yeah.
And then he became a professor at Hogwarts.
Yeah.
The timeline, unfortunately, for a principal in the Breakfast Club is we could see why he lost his job. He was a very incompetent, deputy police chief. He just kind of let the FBI turn off all the power. He just really let the terrorists run loose. Didn't really have much competence on the job.
Well, he might live a double life, too. That's always that possibility.
He's a principal during the day. That's a really hard life to juggle. Principal by day, cop by night.
Chief of police by night.
No, deputy chief of police. He's almost there, but Jesus, that man gets maybe an hour of sleep in between shifts?
Yeah. Then we have Carl, who's trying to run, the Winslow house and Family Matters and trying to fucking, save this tower.
Well, I like my theory where, after the Nakatomi Plaza incident, he's just like, maybe I should get a fresh start in Chicago.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kids to shoot there, and it won't be an accident.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, it's definitely one of those movies that you really got to be in the mood for, but it's definitely really good. It's a good action movie, and it's silly, it's ridiculous, it's definitely over the top. It's definitely not super realistic in a lot of spots, but goddamn, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? It's not that realistic, but it's also not out of the ordinary. It's not like fucking Schwarzenegger running around on a tropical island.
Shooting guns.
Hip firing, of all things. Yeah, unlimited ammo, hip firing.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, at least he ran out of, bullets in that one exchange.
Yeah, John McClane, you didn't even know how many bullets he had, but it wasn't much, and he ran out of that ammo real quick.
Yeah, I mean, really, this whole movie is just, Bruce Willis as John McClane just takes down all these terrorists one by one, and then the terrorists try to think 2 steps ahead where they try to blow up the top. He blew out the bottom, and then they try to get away with all these fucking bonds, and they're trying to slip away, and they slowly all start dropping like flies.
Yeah. Argyle also saved the day. Limo driver beat up the other black guy that they had.
Yeah, they're smart, nerdy black guy, which is another stereotype in a lot of these movies.
Just the nerdy 80s. Guy. Very 80s thing to have was the nerdy black guy.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Who understood tech, and then everyone else was kind of retarded.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little retarded.
I know you didn't bring me here for my good, charming looks, or whatever the fuck he said.
Something like that.
Something like that. All I know is Alan Rickman being severely British playing an East German guy was great.
Yeah, it's I gotta fully appreciate some of the effects they did in this movie too. I mean, pretty good for its time, and also seeing Bruce Willis with hair, that's definitely a treat too.
Yeah, and I like that comparison you made. He looked like Harrison Ford in Blade Runner.
Yeah, it's giving me the same kind of vibe, I guess, except he was not as serious as Deckard was in Blade Runner.
Well, then again, that was a more serious movie.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of comedic elements to this. I mean, just the fact that
the buddy cop element, especially.
Yeah, him and Al are just having this conversation about why Al's behind a desk while he's basically bleeding out, and that's silly, dude.
Which I think is kind of funny when you think about it. There's some serious moments going on, and these guys are on an open channel talking to each other about their life's personal problems.
Yeah, and then fucking Ellis, dude. Oof.
Do you think Alan Rickman's just sitting there? He's like, oh fuck, he killed a kid? Holy shit.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a monster, but I'm not that much of a monster.
Oh, God, I thought I was terrible, but I've never taken out a kid.
And then how about Alan Rickman doing that half-ass American accent?
Oh yeah, he went for the California guy, businessman accent. That was great.
It's funny.
It was so in character for Mr. Rickman.
Yep. But, the thing is, to this movie, it's really a very simple movie for the most part. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, the plot's not that dynamic. It's just fun. It's just a fun movie to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad we didn't have to engage in understanding John McClane's divorce.
Yeah, they kind of just...
That love story was pretty simple, though. He comes out to L.A. since she invites him. His wife sees him. She's like, damn, I just can't get this dreamy hunk of a man off my mind. I hope he doesn't do anything severely masculine and outlandish later. It might make me moist.
Oh.
And I might invite him to the main room and not just the side guest room.
Yep. And there we are. Here we are.
Yeah, and at the end of the movie, he's just, he's going home to fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that him and Al got to see each other. I'm glad that the fucking police deputy chief wanted to fucking get debriefed, and then, they finally took out the other fucking Fabio.
Large blonde sociopath.
Yeah, Fabio looking dude, just to avenge his brother.
Let's mention that as well. All of these guys looked like they used to be supermodels or worked in the modeling industry.
One way or another, they either were the models or the crew that was shooting the models.
The two balding guys, Chinese mullet man and like the really rough looking German guy with the slicked back ponytail, the way older one. Those two definitely worked cameras.
Yeah, pretty much.
They worked behind the camera. They were like, "Oh, we was never too pretty to be in front of the camera."
Yep, and then they weren't. And then they had to do those.
Yeah, do that. Give me your tiger, yeah.
Jesus Christ. But that's like I said, this movie, like it basically just takes place in this building. I mean, there's one scene at the beginning where he's getting off the plane from the airport, and we've seen a couple scenes at their house, but really it's outside the building, inside the building. That is the location for this entire flick. So let's talk about the dumb, cool, and the weird. Nick, what was dumb about this movie?
Dumb. You know what? This one's actually kind of hard because it was so well executed. But I guess we'll go with the fact that the deputy police chief is the dumbest character in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just asking the dumbest questions, really.
Yeah, I love how he just repeats whatever Carl Winslow says to sound like he's in charge of the situation.
Yeah,
just like any officer who is having to listen to like an enlisted guy in the military.
Yep.
Just like let me just steal Carl Winslow's thunder real quick so that I can sound like I'm important. Oh, wait a minute. I'm making bad decisions like just, let the FBI turn off all the power. I'm getting mad at John McClane for stopping those other Germans from using that rocket on our vehicles and troops, basically. So, I'm more mad about us being covered in glass.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really was worried about all the wrong things. I guess that's what a bureaucrat is all about, So that's why I hate him. I think he's dumb.
Yeah. I thought it was really cool how, talking about the cool part of this movie. I thought it was really cool how a lot of the practical effects, especially with the squibs, those look pretty realistic.
Great squib use in this movie.
That was cool as shit. I also thought it was cool how they utilized, matte paintings for the scenes where they were inside of the air vents and stuff.
Like when they went into his wife's office, and you just and they had that. You got that good backdrop over there as the cokehead is trying to exit the room. And I love how, that was a funny scene, by the way. When her boss is like, this is her husband, the police officer from New York. Yeah. And John's like, you missed some.
Cool as shit. So what's weird about this movie? I think I got an. I
think you should go first because I might have to think a little bit harder on that one.
So what I thought was really weird about this movie, the weirdest thing was that when he was trying to call it in over the illegal radio, and those cops heard it, and they heard all the gunshots in the background and all this other stuff. They're like, well, what is he doing? It's weird. And
It's a crank call.
It's a crank call and all this. And it's just like, dude, you heard gunshots in the background, and it's just like so weird, dude.
Yeah, you know what that is? I would say that is one of the weirdest things because first off, why would somebody be making a crank call from the Nakatomi Plaza? They would probably get fired for doing something like that.
Yeah.
Would somebody really risk their job working for this, like amazing Japanese company, this big corporation from Japan? You think they would risk their job making a crank call from an office phone?
Nope.
Up there? Or a radio?
Nope.
That doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, that's what I thought was the weirdest part of the movie, along with...
another weird one. When the fire department is called off, right? Fire department would still have to show up and, check that alarm. Now, essentially, they'd all become hostages, but that would make people realize, like, wait a minute, these guys just disappeared on shift while doing, a standard call, but they just went away because somebody at the office is like, yeah, I'm sorry. It just goes off every now and again.
They just take them for their word, dude. They take their word for it.
I guess people in the 80s worked in the honor system.
I guess so. But that was Die Hard. Die Hard's a pretty straightforward movie, but it's very good, and it's definitely a Christmas movie.
An excellent Christmas movie.
And, yeah, that's Die Hard. So, we're going to be doing a classic next week. Hope you guys are ready.
It could be a Christmas vacation.
As they say.
Yes. So, yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers. Pew, pew. We're out.
Thanks for watching the Dumb, Cool, Weird podcast, where we cover some of your favorite movies in 20 minutes or less for your convenience. We go over what is dumb, cool, and weird about movies, and check out our Way Back Wednesdays we do sometimes for other stuff. And please share us with your friends.